A very warm welcome to part 2 of the factors affecting the Indian monsoon. In this part, we shall be analyzing the subtropical easterly jet stream and the western disturbances of summers as factors that affect the Indian monsoons. We are all aware that the monsoons are the surface winds originating from the subtropical high pressure belt in the southern hemisphere, the part of that subtropical high pressure belt being the Mascarene High. The southeast trade winds are flowing between the Mascarene High and the ITCZ. As the summers advance, the ITCZ approaches northwards and so do the southeast trade winds. As the ITCZ advance in the northern hemisphere, the southeast trade winds cross the equator and enter India as the southwesterly winds. Along the ITCZ, they again rise vertically and we see the completion of the entire cell. The cell which exists between the subtropical high pressure belt of the southern hemisphere and the ITCZ is the Hadley cell of the southern hemisphere. As the ITCZ advances northwards, it is basically the Hadley cell of the southern hemisphere which is extending northwards into the northern hemisphere. The monsoon cell is nothing but this extended Hadley cell of the southern hemisphere. Now, since this Hadley cell is now covering almost double the distance, it needs some factors to sustain and to cross all of this distance. The first factor which assists it was the Somali jet that we understood yesterday. Today we shall understand the next most important factor, that is the subtropical easterly jet stream. How it develops, what is its role? During winters, the ITCZ is in the southern hemisphere. As the ITCZ keeps advancing northwards, we see some changes. During winters, the subtropical high pressure belt and the subtropical jet stream is present along these latitudes, the southern extent of which is usually the Tropic of Cancer. Now, as the summers advance, the sun enters the northern hemisphere, but the high pressure belt has still not moved. Now, when the sun's rays are falling almost vertically on the area observing the high pressure belt, some phenomena is observed directly under it. Being under a high pressure area, we have a sinking air system. We have a sinking air system at the subtropical high pressure belt area. Due to all of that sinking air, moisture is unable to rise because convection is suppressed. Therefore, we have clear skies in that area. In areas of clear sky and the approaching sun, the sun's rays are able to heat the surface much better. All the air near the earth's surface therefore starts heating up. Moreover, the sinking air along the high pressure belt itself, it undergoes something called adiabatic heating. The closer air gets to the surface of the earth, the more atmospheric pressure it is under, and that sinking air starts to heat up. So both because of the sinking air and because of the heated surface, a packet of warm air starts building up near the surface of the earth under the high pressure belt. But all of this warm air is unable to escape. As soon as the sun keeps on approaching, the ITCZ keeps on approaching northwards, the subtropical high pressure belt and the subtropical jet stream, they finally shift. As soon as they shift, as soon as the subtropical high pressure belt and the subtropical jet stream shifts, all of those bodies of warm air are exposed. All of these bodies of warm air are exposed, which start to rise vertically rapidly. Intense convection is observed in this area, and due to that intense convection, we observe a series of changes. Now, by this time, the ITCZ is already near the Tropic of Cancer. What is the ITCZ? It is the net area of low pressure. But since all of these areas of intense convection are observed, the net area of low pressure shifts to a little north of the Tropic of Cancer. Now observe this very carefully. All of these areas are observing intense convection. Tibetan Plateau, North India, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, Algeria, Libya, etc. All of this strong convection triggers a very strong convergent wind system. Convergent wind systems in the northern hemisphere rotate anti-clockwise. They are cyclonic circulations, and we are all aware that if the velocity of wind in a cyclonic circulation is below 60 kilometers per hour, we call them as disturbances. All of these are nothing but disturbances. I'll come to that again shortly. We are concerned about these areas of low pressures developing over the North Indian plain and the Tibetan Plateau. Collectively, all of this warm air is rising. It is rotating in an anti-clockwise manner on the surface. But along the tropopause, all of this rising air is going to create a divergent wind system. All of this surface anti-clockwise circulation is the cyclonic circulation, but along the tropopause, what will exist directly above them? All of the rising air is going to diverge outwards. An anticyclonic condition will initiate along the tropopause above all of them. Anticyclonic circulations in the northern hemisphere, they rotate clockwise. Along the tropopause, a clockwise circulation is set up all along these areas. The same thing is taking place over China as well. We find that clockwise circulation along the tropopause generating over here as well. Now, all of this upper air divergence is blocked a little to the north. Most of all of this circulation is therefore confined to the south. An upper air high velocity wind system flowing along the tropopause is generated, and we call that as the subtropical easterly jet stream. We call that as the subtropical easterly jet stream. Now this is a map of the tropopause. As soon as the subtropical high pressure belt and the subtropical jet stream they shift, all those low pressures areas trigger intense convection. When they trigger intense convection, they trigger very strong anticyclones to form along the tropopause. Anticyclones rotate clockwise in the northern hemisphere, the southward branches of which they merge together to create a high velocity upper air wind system, which is known as the subtropical easterly jet stream. This is the single most important factor which decides the strength of the Indian monsoon. Let me elaborate. Once the high pressure belt and the subtropical jet stream advance way northwards over Europe and USA, during that time the subtropical easterly jet stream is very well developed. Now, how is it assisting or affecting the Indian monsoons? We are all aware, like I just mentioned, that by this time, during the summer solstice, by mid of June, 21st of June, the Hadley cell of the southern hemisphere has already extended. I have displayed it. The surface winds are shown in white, southeast trade winds, southwesterlies. Along the ITCZ, we are observing that convection. Upper air circulation of the Hadley cell, extended Hadley cell of the southern hemisphere. The upper air circulation is shown in orange. Since this Hadley cell of the southern hemisphere has extended to almost double its latitudinal extent, it needs more strength to actually move. The Somali jet is pushing the surface winds, assisting them. The upper air circulation of the Hadley cell, which is extended, is assisted by this subtropical easterly jet stream. This shown in blue is that upper air anticyclone. All of that divergent wind system is simply pushing the upper air of the monsoonal cell. This extended Hadley cell of the southern hemisphere is nothing but the monsoonal cell. the upper air system of which is strengthened by the subtropical easterly jet stream, forcing it to move much faster. The faster the upper air circulation of this monsoonal cell moves, the stronger will be the subduction at the Mascarene High. The subtropical easterly jet stream, by strengthening the upper air circulation of the extended Hadley cell, triggers a stronger Mascarene High, which in turn strengthen the southeast trade winds, which after meeting with the Somali jet strengthen the southwesterlies even more, you can say better, which is why the easterly jet stream strengthens the monsoonal cell overall. Depending upon when the subtropical easterly jet stream develops, we call that as the burst of the Indian monsoons. Unless and until this easterly jet stream develops properly over peninsular India, the strength of the monsoonal cell will not be that strong. As soon as this easterly jet stream develops over peninsular India, monsoons start entering India with a lot of intensity, and that phenomena is called the burst of the Indian monsoons. It is not a guarantee of heavy rainfall because the easterly jet stream does not determine the quality of moisture in the air. That is determined by the Indian Ocean Dipole. I shall be discussing that in the subsequent lectures. In this entire scenario of the formation of easterly jet stream, all of these areas of low pressure were created on the surface, over which along the tropopause we had those anticyclones developing. It is these low pressure systems present on the surface which are rotating in an anti-clockwise manner, where the subtropical jet stream formerly lay. All of these areas on the surface which triggered all of those convection, all of these areas on the surface are nothing but disturbances. On the surface, the motion is anti-clockwise. All of these are disturbances. The disturbance present over Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan is to our west and is therefore called the western disturbance. The western disturbance of summers are these cyclonic circulations which develop over these land masses which were earlier heated under the subtropical jet stream. Once the subtropical jet stream shifts, intense convection is triggered, which starts spinning anti-clockwise, picking up moisture from the Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, northern part of Arabian Sea. They pick up moisture, steadily rising anti-clockwise. Once they hit the tropopause, they start deflecting outwards, deflecting to the right. They take a clockwise circulation. Along the upper air, they travel towards the east. In this motion, they add moisture to the east, and we see a cloud formation developing over the Suleiman range. Normally, this takes place around the, you can say, 21st of June. It takes place around mid of June. But last year and this year, as we are all aware, everything has been delayed by almost 1 month because of the later descent of the polar vortex. Last year also, the effect of western disturbances was observed in mid of July. As of now, still the western disturbances are a little delayed, but normally till last year, western disturbances, Arabian Sea branch and the Bay of Bengal branch of the monsoons used to merge over northwest India by mid of June, by, you can say, third week of June. Last year it took place in mid of July. Either way, these three branches, they merge over northwest India and lead to heavy downpour, because moisture from three branches causes heavy downpour over northwest India. These are the western disturbances which are linked with the formation of the subtropical jet stream. These two factors greatly affect the Indian monsoon. The subtropical easterly jet stream strengthens the upper air circulation of the Hadley cell, extended Hadley cell, or the monsoonal cell, which in turn strengthens the mascarene high. Stronger southeast trade winds combined with the Somali jet, stronger southwesterlies. So this upper air high velocity wind called the subtropical easterly jet stream strengthens the circulation, strengthens the cell, and the low pressure systems created over these land masses, they force the ITCZ to shift beyond the Tropic of Cancer. The ITCZ is nothing but the effective area of low pressure. All of these heated land masses force the effective area of low pressure north of the Tropic of Cancer. We call that as the North ITCZ or the monsoonal trough. Why is it called a trough? Because when you plot a chart, high pressure, low pressure, it creates a trough. So this belt of low pressure extended north of the normal Tropic of Cancer is called the monsoonal trough. These are the single most important factors which determine the strength of the Indian monsoons. I'll be covering all the other factors in the subsequent parts. Stay tuned for further information. Thank you.